I'll be back.
Okay, in this one, I'm going to take Caliari to get it done. Bannon's not that skilled. At least I don't think she's as skilled as Cagliari is. It's never a pretty fight when she wins, but somehow Bannon finds a way to win because she's got a lot more wins than she does losses in the UFC. And Cagliari, she's fought the better competition, so I understand why she's struggling in the UFC. But she should be able to outstrike Bannon. She has very good technical striking. She's good defensively. She's moving. She keeps her guard up. She has nice, short, tight strikes. I know there's going to be a little bit of a height and a reach difference between the two on the side of Bannon, but it should be easy for Cagliari to get takedowns if she has to, because Bannon likes to come forward and she likes to lift that leg. And once she does that, I could just see someone like Cagliari either tree-topping her, lifting the leg up a little higher, getting her off balance, or kicking the one out that's on the ground, taking out her support. And even if she doesn't end up on top of her, because I do think Cagliari is probably a little bit better in the grappling department. I do feel that in the striking, if it stays on the feet, I think Cagliari is probably going to be able to outstrike her and outpoint her and get the decision. So I'm going to take Cagliari to get it done. Okay, in this one, I'm going to take Barez to get it done. I'm going to do that because I feel that offensively, he's going to push the pace on Gurule. I feel Gurule is probably the better wrestler out of the two. I'm going to say Barez is probably the better grappler out of the two. I think that, Gurule does have grappling, or is a competent grappler, I believe, but I don't think he's even trying to use it. When he gets someone down, he's definitely trying to impale you with some of those shots that he has. And, the volume of Gurule is going to be an issue in this fight too, because on the ground and pound, he's trying to beat you. He's trying to beat you up on the ground, but standing, he throws one or two shots at a time, and I think he's relying on some big power that he's supposed to have, and you can see it when he's hitting his opponents. Like they are feeling it. But I think on the regional scene before he came to the UFC, he was used to tagging somebody and them dropping, and that's not the case here in the UFC. And I think that he's going to have a hard time with that with Baez, because if he doesn't use some wrestling to at least try to get him down, to control him, to ground and pound him, or get him in the clinch. Barez is a mover, and he's going to move, and he's going to have a little bit more volume, and he throws in combination. Now, he doesn't throw big power, and he doesn't sit on his strikes, and he's not trying to rip anything, but just the volume of the work rate, and if you're going to try to get him in the clinch, he's going to work in the clinch as well, and he's going to keep moving, and that just might be a terrible idea for Gurule to do that, but try to at least get this to the ground, try to get some control on him, and have some control time, because Barez, I think, is the issue is he's got very good technique, and he's a mover. He's not slow, and that's another reason is Gurule's he's very slow. He's got very slow feet for 125. He lacks the ability to move out of the way of strikes. Doesn't have a lot of high volume. He stays pretty stationary. It looks like he tries to move his head, but it also looks like he's trying to I don't think he's trying to show you that he's tougher than you when he's taking your shots, but I do feel that he doesn't move very well, but he knows that he can take shots decently, and especially somebody like Barez. So I just feel that if Gurule doesn't get a finish, I think that the pace that Barez is going to keep on him and the volume, it's going to look as though, even though Gurule may be coming forward and Barez may be working from the outside, I think he's going to land more shots, and I think the more significant shots, and I think that that's going to play a role in the judge's eyes. I don't think this is going to be a finish, but I do think Barez is probably going to get the decision. Okay, in this next one, I'm going to take Ardelean to get it done. I think that Viana is she's probably not probably she is more well-rounded, and I feel that she's a better fighter, or fought the better competition is what I have to say. Fought the better competition, but she can't keep the pace that Ardelean's going to keep throughout the fight, and she doesn't have the aggression and the tenacity, and she's not going to try to push the pace that Ardelean's going to try to push. I think Viviana I think she's 4-7 in the UFC, and I think she's on a 3-fight losing streak if I remember correctly. But while Ardelean, she's on a 2-fight win streak, and she's gotten better in every fight. Like, she's gotten in better shape. She's shown up shredded. She's shown up with great cardio, and sometimes the harder the fight gets, you see her smiling in there. So she wants this fight to be gritty. She wants it to be ugly, and even when she's getting taken down, like she's never down for a long time because she can scramble. She's constantly moving, and she's get back to her feet. But then she's also ends up on top in a better position, and she's always trying to inflict damage, whether she's on top, whether she's standing. She's throwing some heavy hammers in that fight too, and whenever she's fighting. So yeah, she can tag girls. She hasn't had any big stoppages in the UFC, but I feel that just the pace, I think she's probably going to hurt Viana a few times in this fight, and I just think the pace, the aggression, and just the fact that she likes to have fun in the ring and fighting, and I don't think Viana wants to get in a fight like that. I'm going to take Ardelean to get it done. Okay, in this one, I'm going to go with Brundage to get this one done. I'm going to go with Brundage just because, he swings for the fences. He's not accurate all the time. He does take chances, but his cardio is there. And somebody like Petroski, he may be technical. He may be a good wrestler. So is Brundage. If Brundage gets taken down, he's going to get back up. But if Brundage can force a couple of clinch exchanges on the feet, fake some takedowns, make Petroski get a little tired, by round two, Petroski's going to be bouncing on his toes. He still starts off round two that way, but it slows down, and you could see it most of the time. Like, even his output starts to slow down. And I do think that he's technically the better fighter than Brundage. He wants to set things up. He wants to keep people at distance. He wants to throw long shots. He wants to throw kicks, long kick ranges. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to keep you at a distance where he knows everything is optimal for him. But I just feel that by round two, he's going to be a little tired if he tries to take him down, or if his output in round one's a little bit more than he expected. And I do feel that, Brundage come late round two, round three, I don't think he's going to get finished. And I think that at that point, Petroski's going to be a little bit more stationary at that point. He's going to be trying to bounce around, loosen up, bounce on his toes, catch his breath. You'll see him breathing. And I think Brundage is going to land something solid on him, and he's going to get him out of there. But I think that, I think Petroski's got a good shot at winning this. I'm not saying he doesn't. I mean, it's tough when you're trying to pick the best of the worst fighters. You know what I mean? Like, these two struggle very much at the upper echelon of the division. But I'm going to say that Brundage gets this done. I think that he can get a late stoppage on Petroski because Petroski is going to get tired, and his volume is going to go down, his movement's going to go down, and I think that's when Brundage is going to be able to capitalize. So Cody Brundage to get it done. Okay, in this one, I'm going to take Cavalcanti to get it done. I think she's a good kickboxer. She's the better of the two. Uses feints very well. She uses stutter steps to close the distance and throw her opponents off. She mixes her strikes very well. She fights at her range, at least for the most part she tries to. She's got long limbs. She's always trying to keep the fighter at her range. And she doesn't overcommit to any of the striking. She'll come forward when she knows she's tagged you, but for the most part, she's just throwing the feelers out there. And if she hits you a few times with the jab, then she knows to step forward. The one thing she does do that's very interesting is that she does drop her hands just a little bit sometimes and stay stationary, allows her opponent to come forward, and then she'll tag her opponent. And she's done that a couple of times where it's kind of like a little bait and switch. But with Vieira, I don't think she's going to be able to do that. I think she's going to have to worry a little bit more about the takedown defense. Someone like Vieira shouldn't be too worried about mixing in the strike, and what she should be doing is trying to get into the clinch or trying to get whatever takedown she can and force Cavalcanti to work, because we haven't seen too much of it. One of the only fights I think I've ever seen of her struggling on the ground, because she has decent takedown defense, was when she fought Nora Cornell, and against Cornell, she was able to at least get back to her feet. Like, she wasn't just stuck on the ground. She wasn't waiting for the round to finish to get back to her feet to go to work. She was able to get back up and create the separation. And I think that's what she's going to do against Vieira. She's going to have to apply and watch for the takedowns, anticipate the takedowns coming, and keep the strikes long. And she's going to have to separate when they're in the clinch, and every time she separates, throw something upon separation. She's going to have to make Vieira pay on the feet. And the one thing about Vieira that's just a little bit of a concern is that she's not good with mixing her strikes very much, but her boxing has gotten a lot better. And, I do feel that she's got a little bit of snap in those punches, but so does Cavalcanti, and I think she carries just a little bit more. So I'm going to take Cavalcanti to get this one done. Okay, in this one, I'm still going to go with Gantt. It's a short notice change, so that's why I'm going with him still. I feel Minev, he's actually got a puncher's chance on this one. I think that he's pretty composed. He's patient on the feet. He's 22 years old. He's still starting to get his groove, and I just feel that I think he's good. I think he's got some talent, and I just don't think that once Gantt's able to get his range and close the distance, I don't feel that Minev's going to be able to out-grapple him or out-wrestle him. I feel that Gantt is probably going to be able to dominate him on the ground a little bit. I think Minev's going to be able to change positions, probably scramble a little bit, but I think ultimately Gantt is going to be able to get him back to the ground or control him in some way. But on the feet, I feel that it's live. I feel Minev has got the ability to land something hard, and in most of his fights he's been landing one shot, and as long as it's clean, he's been putting people out, but it is lower level competition. I don't think Gantt's just going to be standing right in front of him, but Minev looks like he does have a little bit of ability, a little bit of skill, and he's a little wild at times when he's throwing because they're wide shots, but he's he's getting better. He's starting to grow a little bit, and I think this is a big step up for him, and I think that although Gantt, I feel, is going to get it done, I think Minev's going to have a good showing for himself. So, Tommy Gantt to get it done. Okay, I'm taking Erslan to get this one done. I think Erslan is a slugger. He's heavy-handed. He's definitely a bit wild. He'll throw straight down the middle, but it kind of loops as well, and he's trying to catch you. He's trying to catch you long. So he does throw good long strikes, but he'll whip those punches and throw some long hooks if he has to. He wants to engage so much in this fight that he loses balance sometimes too, and he chases his opponent, and he chases him while throwing punches. You know what I mean? So and he's done that in multiple fights, and I just feel that someone like Tokkos is waiting for someone like Erslan to rush in and try to take him down, and try to put him out so he can get into those hips, like change a level, take you down, or at least engage in a little bit of a clinch just to slow you down a bit, But someone like Erslan does have good cardio, and he does come after you from round 1 to round 3. And someone like Tokkos is going to have to take this fight to the ground, pretty much like he did against Junior Tafa to get a win. But I do feel that he's not going to be able to do that with someone like Erslan. Erslan, he does defend decently. He's terrible once the fight gets to the ground. He's probably going to get submitted by Tokkos if he gets taken down. But I do feel that in a wild exchange, it could be either Erslan knocks out Tokkos or, hurts him and finishes him with a TKO, gets him out of there at some point. But also he can get taken down as well, and then he's going to struggle to get back up. But I'm going to rely on the fact that Erslan's just a little bit quicker than Tokkos, and I think he's going to be quicker to the target. I do feel that Erslan's the more aggressive of the two. I feel like he's going to try to push the pace of the fight, and I think Tokkos is going to try to stay a little too defensive at points and try not to engage because he's waiting for the right opportunity, or he's just trying to stay safe and not get hurt. And at that point, I feel that Erslan's going to probably put it on him. So Erslan to get it done. This is another tough one to pick too, but I'm going to take. I'm going to make a little Johnny on the spot one right here. I'm going to go with Khaos Williams. I do think that what makes this difficult, this decision, is Veretennikov. He's a technical striker out of the two. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Yes, it's against a lower tier fighter, but I wouldn't say Prado's a lower tier fighter. He's just one of those guys where you wish there was a weight class in between 155, 170 for someone like him. You could tell by somebody with that big of legs, he has a hard time making the weight class. And he gave Veretennikov another win because the height and the reach advantage, So it's not that he's fighting great fighters. It's just the fact that, he fought the right guy at the right time. But somebody like Williams, he throws a little bit wild sometimes, not wild, he throws wide. And loops his shots every now, but he does have the power, but he's not very accurate. When you throw wide looping shots like that, a lot of times it's hit or miss. And Veretenikov's really not just going to stand there in front of you and take shots like that. And, he's not a mover. He's not very technical defensively, but, he hasn't really been hurt so much in the UFC in all of his fights. But somebody like Williams, if you stand in front of him, he's going to hurt you, I think. And I just feel that Veretennikov, he throws his punches shorter and tighter, and he doesn't have a lot of fat on it. He doesn't have a lot of high volume, but I can see him landing on Williams before Williams lands on him just because of the looping shots that Williams likes to throw. And both of them are, I'll say, kind of one-dimensional. Veretennikov, I've seen him go for takedowns as he gets pressured by fighters. He realizes he's losing the stand-up exchanges, so then he shoots for a takedown. Now it's a lackluster takedown, and he never really completes it, but he does at least attempt it, and I wish he wouldn't attempt it out of desperation. Try to use it to your advantage. And against somebody like Khaos Williams, if you're going to do that, I feel that Williams is going to catch you with something on the way in. And for that reason, I took Khaos Williams, but for the reason that Veretennikov is very technical, I can see him winning this too, but I'm going to stop mixing you guys up. I'm going to take Khaos Williams to get it done. Okay, and this next one, I took Cuamba to get it done. I just think Cuamba has all the skills needed to get this one done. He's smooth, has athletic, smooth movements, solid wrestling, quick striking, and when he starts getting in a rhythm, he does flow very well. Sopaj, he's very good. He's a technical striker. He does like to attack the calf of his opponent's lead leg. He has a lot of high energy, explosive striking, a lot of high energy, explosive takedowns at times. He powers through a lot of it. And that's the one thing that makes me nervous in this situation to pick Sopaj. I like Sopaj because I think he's mentally a little bit more complete than Cuamba. I think Cuamba is still learning how to put it together and how he wants it to go. And throughout the fight, you could see he starts off a little hesitant. He doesn't have a lot of confidence at the beginning of the fight, but as the fight goes on, he gets a little bit better. And Sopaj starts off strong, and he would like to finish strong, I believe. But the fact is by round 2, he's fighting and his mouth is wide open, and you could see his shoulders pumping up and down. He's had 2 fights in the UFC, and you watch some of his prior fights. Whenever it gets to round 2, he's always sucking wind just a little bit, not enough to make you feel like he's not going to be able to get it done in the fight. But then comes round 3, and round 3 he slows down very much, and that also happened with Vicinius Oliveira. He was winning that fight. Oliveira is a tank, and he started to fade, and Oliveira took advantage of the opportunity. So for some reason, I feel that Cuamba's probably going to lose the first 2 rounds. He'll probably lose, the first round. But once Sopaj starts to slow down, he's got that football speed. It's like short and choppy. He wants to overwhelm you with his power and his strength. But Cuamba's like a basketball player. It's smooth. It's sleek. But it's still powerful. And he doesn't use a lot of energy. He doesn't force a lot of the movements. So I'm going to take Cuamba because I feel that as the fight goes on, he's going to get better. And he's going to be able to figure out how he wants to fight and at the pace he wants to fight. But Sopaj, I feel like if he doesn't get it done before a round and a half, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done against Sopaj. They both have good technique. I think that Sopaj has a better fight IQ. I just think that his cardio just doesn't hold up because his movements are a little too explosive. And I think the longer the fight goes, the better it is for Cuamba. So I think he has the advantage. It's up to him to capitalize because I think he might be down 2 rounds to 1 at that point. But I'm going to take Timmy Cuamba to get it done. Okay, in this one, I'm going to take Wellmaker. I think that, he can stay relaxed and he can stay composed under fire. He does have power, and that's the thing that Díaz is going to have to watch out for. And, he has power in his right hook. He has power in his left overhand, and he also has a very heavy rear leg kick. But Díaz, he's also going to want to stay in range and boxing range, and from boxing to clinch range. And to do that, you've got to at least have a high guard, good head movement. You got to be quick on your feet, change angles, and Díaz doesn't do any of that. But if he pressures Wellmaker and he comes forward, Wellmaker being the counterpuncher, he's going to wait for the openings. And Díaz doesn't move his head, as we were just talking about defensively, so he's kind of making this out to be a little bit more of an easier matchup for Wellmaker, because he's going to stand there. He wants to get into a trade, and I feel like he's there to get hit. Now, it doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. I think he's very good. I think he's got some, not going to be a great fighter, but I think he's a good fighter, and I think he's tough. But I think come Saturday, he's going to show a little bit more of his toughness than he is his talent. And I think it's going to be Wellmaker probably landing the heavier shots, the cleaner shots, using his speed to get out of the way, whereas Díaz is going to be a step behind, and he's going to have to try to do something. Now, his ground game, he's in the clinch. He does go for takedowns, but sometimes he doesn't get them. Sometimes he does. And he looks okay. But against Wellmaker, I don't think he has the ability to get the takedowns on him. And I feel that if you're going to be in boxing range with somebody like Wellmaker, he might just light you up if you leave your hands. He doesn't bring his guard up high. His hands stay around his shoulders. So I think, with that said, I think Wellmaker's going to get it done. Okay, in this fight, I'm going to take Daniel Santos here to get it done. I'm going to go with Santos because I feel that in the range that I feel the fight's going to take place, in close quarters, boxing range, in the clinch, I feel that, Choi is, he's sharp. He's got, he can avoid strikes. He's got sharp technique. He's quick. He does have a good speed advantage, more quickness advantage. He's quicker to the target than Santos is, I believe, because Santos throws a little bit wider. But what I do feel is that he steps in every time because he wants to maximize that power. So when he throws that shot, he steps in, and you're actually cutting the distance for someone like Santos, where you have the height and the reach advantage to get closer to you or to land those shots. And when you close the distance like that, and now you're winging some punches, you're going to be hitting him on the shoulder, maybe over the head, maybe around, the back of his shoulders. But Santos is in range because he has the shorter arms. He's going to land exactly where he'd like to land, on the chin, to the body. And he's going to have those clean shots on the inside. I mean, he's going to be so tight inside that he's not really going to have to worry about knees or anything from Choi. And Choi doesn't really throw a bunch of elbows on the inside either. Also, Duho Choi is going to be throwing 1-2s most of the time. When I say 1-2, not just 1-2, the straight punches, but 1 or 2 punches at a time. Whereas Santos will come in and he'll throw in combination. He'll throw in combination, try to clinch you, knees, and just keep beating you on the inside if you allow him to do that, which Choi's probably going to step out of the pocket at that point. But either way, whenever he's striking, he's taking those small steps inside. And, Choi's also not afraid to go to the ground, but I do feel that's a mistake because Daniel Santos, he's always moving on the ground. He never just stays on his back to the ground. He's always attacking the base of his opponent while he's down there. He's shrimping out, trying to create some distance, trying to get back to his feet. So Choi's going to have a little bit of a problem there. Now, if Choi can stay in his own range, he's going to have a lot of success. But the problem being is as he steps forward and Santos steps forward, because that's when he's supposed to, he's going to throw in combination, and I think he's going to land something of significance to start pushing Choi back. So I'm going to take Daniel Santos to get it done. Okay, in this one, I'm going to take Arnold Allen. What's going to make this for Costa a very difficult struggle is the fact that Allen uses a lot of movement. And along with the movement, he's also a southpaw, so a lot of the strikes are going to be coming from angles that he's not necessarily used to all the time. I'm guaranteeing that he's working with southpaws as well, but I also think that, it's very tough sometimes. The guy, Arnold Allen, he doesn't want to engage a lot of the time, and that's why he can get in these fights and not take a lot of damage. And he's dashing in and out. Sometimes he throws strikes when he comes in. A lot of times he's just moving, and he's not going to engage until he's ready to come in. So it's going to be very difficult for Costa to be able to, even if he's high volume, he's got to be like him, like when Arnold Allen fought Max Holloway. Holloway was constantly pressuring him, constantly throwing punches, volume. And for me, I think Costa's going to have to at least try to attack that lead leg of Arnold Allen and try to slow him down. With Allen being a southpaw and Melky being a southpaw, it's going to be a problem attacking the body with that rear leg kick. So I do believe that attacking the lead leg, going to calf kicks early, which Costa can do very well, I think he's going to be able to have a lot of success with that. But in terms of like getting this fight to the ground or trying to slow down Allen by wrestling, grappling, and shots to the body, he's going to struggle with that because, like I said, Arnold Allen's always bouncing around. And a lot of times when Allen loses the fight, it's not like he takes a lot of damage. It's just the fact that he's a little bit low output. And the output that actually comes in the fight is when he does win, is when he jumps in and lands a shot and then gets out. So it's going to be hard for Costa to be able to actually locate him throughout the fight and cut off the ring and get him to stay in one spot. So if he attacks the leg early, finds a way to attack the body, finds a way to get him clinched up, I think that's going to be good for Costa to actually have some success in this fight and look busy to the judges. But for the most part, Allen's a very difficult guy to keep in one place. And, he's only had 3 losses, but to the top fighters in the division. So I'm gonna go with Allen for that reason. I just think that, that little bit of a puzzle of getting Allen to stay in one spot is going to be a little difficult for Costa. So Allen to get it done.